I'm going to take you through a few things here because, see, I see some emerging trends here. When you look deeply into these numbers and you think positively that at some point this recession will end and the halcyon days of yore will return, but nonetheless there are some very troubling, disturbing, chilling trends that are really developing that we need to be very, very mindful of. Some are extremely profound, and they really do portend a fundamental shift in many of the rules that kind of guided the relationship between employee and employer. The exhaustion of benefits. These are people who run the full route of unemployment benefits and then run out of coverage, and they still don't have a job. Now, the first box has to do with the state of Connecticut, and it tells us now that nearly 30,000 people have exhausted benefits in our state after 99 weeks of coverage. It tells us that that number is increasing by 684 people in the last week, but that 684 is increasing every week. And almost as far as the eye can see, it's going to grow by that number. And we also know that about half of them are age 50 and older. And if you were to look at that from our 20-town region, you will find that we've already had 3,500 fit into that category. And they had 99 weeks of coverage. It's increasing by 150 to 175 per week. Half of them are over 50, and that 50 number, it's ticking up by a decimal point every single week. So more of that group are 50 and older. Begin to see a trend that's happening here that have got to make an indelible mark in our minds because it's got to be a central part of our work herein. So we got to stop for a second and kind of take a look at what's happening. This is an alert mechanism of a trend and a constituency that somehow we have to make part of our system, not on a temporary basis, but a permanent basis. Because this is what we know. We know that long-term unemployment has been redefined. Long-term unemployment meant when I was in school and we were studying these subjects, if you were out of work 39 weeks, that was long-term unemployment. Now we're looking at 99 weeks, almost 2 years long-term unemployment. The governor before made reference that we may have 7.5%, 8.5% unemployment, not next year, the year after. That's a long period of relatively high unemployment. We never had that before. Half the people in these categories, age 50 and older, and why is that important? The only recession that lasted this long was the recession of 81-82. The most stable part of the American workforce throughout that recession were people 50 and older. This representing clearly a fundamental shift in value. Fundamental shift. And we also know that in terms of people turning elsewhere for help, once their funds, unemployment funds run out, that there has been a 50% increase in people filing for disability benefits. 50% in the past 4 years. Unprecedented. And on the job training side of our TANF program, 41% increase in people participating from 08 to 10. Clearly, people, indications of them getting poorer and getting more and more desperate. Now, in response to that, since 07, the Congress has extended unemployment benefits any number of times. And that ended on November 30th. Now, I know the Congress is talking about extensions now, and I think one House voted them yesterday. I'm not sure exactly where it stands, but hopefully that will work out. Last night. Because 800,000 people lost benefits on November 30th. But there's still problems here. Let's keep looking. If you look at unemployment, there's a standard number of weeks that all 50 states have. So a person is unemployed, you start off with the first 26 weeks unemployment benefits. Everything from the 27th week, 53 weeks forward, are extensions to unemployment benefits. So every state has at least 79 weeks of unemployment benefits. 24 states, including our state and the district, extended an additional 20 weeks. So we've got 99 weeks of coverage in our state, longest ever in history. Now, if Congress took no action, then 2 million people would have lost benefits by the end of this month. And nearly 7 million would have lost benefits, 7 million, by the end of next year. But just note that even if Congress took the action and the President signed it, even if he did, that some 50,000 people a month will still lose benefits across the nation, and that the people who have already lost benefits in our state, the so-called 99ers, and you're seeing TV shows about the 99ers, they don't get additional benefits. They're done. So whoever exhausts benefits, benefits stop. And there is a sort of a misperception, and including a lot of folks who are in that category, who think that their benefits are going to get restored. This number is going to grow and grow and grow. That's that 30,000 number I gave you of our state. That will continue to grow. That is a very important factor that we have to work into our workforce system. And this is going to lead to a little plan that I'm going to reveal to you in just a few minutes. When this crisis started, when this recession began, we created a program called On Track. And it was a fairly rapid response to a fast-growing surge of unemployment numbers. It was coming fast and it was fierce. And it was going to cause incredible stress to our system because we didn't have a system that could accommodate or absorb that number of people that quickly and serve them right. But we made a commitment to do it, and it was all done with your help. We made a commitment to use economic stimulus money and other resources we had to have more space that was needed at all of our one-stops, more staff, and more service, and more of the actual services that would be needed. We did all the right things, and I think as an entity, and I appreciated what the governor said this morning, but I think our proudest moment must be that we did see this coming, we did get ourselves prepared to deal with it, and we did respond as best as we possibly could have to this huge growth in our system. Look at these numbers. You go from 06, where our one-stop visits were about 21,000, to over 35,000 in 2010. 35,000. Now, it's not just that more people, it's people coming with a multitude of issues that they're facing that would impair or impede their ability to get back into the workforce. Did a little survey, and you look at what are some of the characteristics of the people that are coming in. The majority of them have been unemployed in excess of 6 months. The majority of them have never experienced long-term unemployment before. Never before. Some of them have lost homes, and many of them have had to move in with relatives. A significant number of them are age 50 and older. Their skills that they used all their life to work are in danger of becoming obsolete. And more important than anything else, please recognize the mindset. Sustained unemployment cripples the mind to have what it needs to have to compete in a workforce that has never been more challenged than this one. Every day that goes by, the longer unemployment is, the less ability they have to spring back and compete and be a part of the system in the future. Now, I'm going to take away from this for a second, then I'm going to come back, because we have a program called the Mortgage Crisis Job Training Program, and you've all watched it and followed it with me. Now, this program was created, and we, the workplace, administer it for the entire state. It was because we believed there was a link between job training and people retaining the family home, because it's added skills that grow earnings. So you can modify somebody's mortgage, but if you can't grow the earnings or sustain their employment, there isn't much difference between your keeping your home or losing it. So when this program started, 2/3 of the people we were serving were employed. Now, more than 2/3 are not employed. The loan modifications alone do not secure things. So there is a stream of people who are going to get the modifications, but are going to be kind of in that state of being precarious and vulnerable for the entire duration of that loan. We are at the table when these families are there with the new lender, current lender. In many cases, we've got people from the state judicial department that are there. We've got credit counselors. And where we can make the new lender more comfortable and create some dignity restoration for the families that are going through this, if job training will make a difference, we are there to do it. And look at the stats in just the last 2.5 years. We've had over 4,000 people referred to us by the banks and CHFA from virtually every city and town in our state. Over 1,261 of those homeowners have been served and given some degree of service, not all training obviously, but something that they needed to make their employment more secure and their future more secure. But look at this. Of the nearly 700 who did receive training and the most services that they could have from the workforce system, 99% avoided foreclosure. That's a pretty good record.